Okay, people, just getting everything set up here. This is going to be hopefully a long show. Hopefully I'll get through what I want to do. I've been having a lot of serious problems lately. Blocking this, blocking that, blocking YouTube, blocking my Facebook, taking me off of Link. So yeah, there's a lot of people out there fighting what I'm saying. Not this part of it. They're more concerned about the UFO part of my conversations. But this is going to be more bothering to most people that say they have a religion, path, spiritual path. All right. Now, I'm just putting a couple things up in the chat room. I'm going to be going back and forth to the chat room, so I won't get to it instantly, just so you know that. All right. This is going to be a two-part. Okay. The first part's going to be just trying to get you to where you should be with religion, spiritualism, and all those words. Second part will be all about what today is. All right, I'm going to start here first. All right, the difference between an occult, spiritualism, religion. Now, the truth is nothing. Oh, you're going to totally doubt that, but that's your choice. All right. Now, an occult usually has one leader. All right. Claiming to be whatever they are claiming to be. All right. The second part is most religions have one teacher or leader, but then now with more people becoming spiritual so-called teachers and more people becoming preachers and religionists and spiritual wording for I don't even know. They all got different words, different names. From you name it, anybody you know that's claiming to teach something from a religion, from a path, from writings. Now, I'll say this in the beginning. All writings are written by man. God didn't come down here and write us a book, neither did Jesus. So Buddha left a lot of teachings. But Buddhism is quite old compared to all other religions. Hinduism was the first religion. All right. They all say they worship something, whether it be a god, a deity, an angel, and sadly, an egotistical man. Greetings. If you want to come on, let me know. Just going to put this in there real fast. All right. So, okay. Now, they claim that their teacher, their master, their God is the most important. Do they live their life with that? Do they go around preaching? Yes. Do they go around trying to brainwash people? Yes. Is that a part of a spiritual law? It is not. I'm not going to go into all the spiritual laws. There's many that exist within this reality that man refuses to listen to. But the most important one, most corrupted one, is the law of non-interference. Look up the word interference if you don't know what it means. All right. It's people that think they can change other people, make other people believe what they want them to believe what they believe. It's a lie, it's a fantasy, and it's false. It has nothing to do with the real God. All right. It's always what their God they believe to be their whatever it is. And basically it's to attain what? Spiritualism, spiritual awareness, attaining a higher dimensional of energy. Really? A higher level? People saying they're fourth, fifth, sixth dimensional beings now. And really, what does that mean? All these New Age speakers, I'm talking about the top 5. I went over that last time. The Pope, Dalai Lama, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra. Even Oprah is in that list of the top spiritual people on the planet. Not one of them will talk about God. The Pope will talk about Jesus, even though he knows nothing about him, nothing about what he was teaching. We're going to get into that in the second part of this. Okay. The ideas that were written down from ancient history are much lies. Man can't write the truth. I write, but I realize I don't like to promote anything I wrote 10 years ago, 5 years ago. My first 2 books are free if you want them. But things change. Reality gets real. The closer you get to the truth, the more important it becomes. For me, it was always important. So it just gets a little bit more important every single time. All right, let's bypass a lot of things. I'm going to bypass all the alien stuff today as much as I can. All right. Now, government programming is called teaching as well. Now, who was responsible for the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Egyptians' truth? It wasn't God. It wasn't an angel. All right. It was aliens. The Egyptians' truth are all lies. All the hieroglyphics, all their teachings have nothing to do with the real facts. And if you want to talk about reincarnation, we will, but not today. All right. The Egyptians had no clue about it. I mean, these people, look at these people as spiritual people, giant people, great scientists, and all those kind of words they add to it. They were not. They're all dead. They're all missing. They're all gone. So guess what? All the teachings they had didn't help them. And that's for a reason. Who controls this planet? God? Jesus? Moses? Buddha? Who? Who controls this planet? It is controlled. And you need to find that out for yourself. I'm not going to tell you everything. All right, known history.
Who wants to eat?
I just fed him. Oh, man. Okay. I said these top people. Now, there's 8 million people on this planet. How many people have the truth? Well, when you got a number like 2.5 billion Christians, 2.4, 2.3 billion Muslims, that's like half of the planet. And they cannot talk about God. Why is that? What do they believe Jesus was teaching? What do they believe an angel was teaching? Gabriel. What do you think Gabriel was really teaching? Angels are not teachers. They're not. They don't come down and teach classes or nothing like that. They help souls move forward. That's all they do. They can't change your life, and they don't. Then they don't try. Now, when Satan was created, he was allowed to stay here and be what he is. Lucifer's not Satan. Lucifer's in the astral plane on the highest part of it with 2 other little gods, which I call deities or whatever, like Jehovah, like Satnam. But they're on the astral plane. Okay, this 2,000-year-old tradition, 2020, all right, basically was twisted truth. All the disciples that were around Jesus didn't understand half of what he was saying. So it was only until his death, Mary Magdalene was responsible for finish teaching them. We'll get into that a little bit after I get through all this. Okay, now, in the Bible, realize, even before the Bible, all the teachings, no women in any part of it were super beings, or super this or anything. All right, Joan of Arc was probably the most powerful woman of her time, or even up until that time, was killed by the time she was 20 years old because they were afraid of her. She was leading armies. She claimed to speak to God. All right, now, anyone claiming to speak to God has a problem. God doesn't speak words or anything close to it to us. And it's not going to tell us how to live. It allowed us to be free souls, people. Free to come back to the higher realms or free to stay in hell. You got a choice. You always did. What are you willing to do? Where are you willing to go? All right. Some people don't understand. All right. Moses never used words, certain words. He didn't know them. Buddha never used the word. Hinduism never used the word love. All right. The words that they used was sex. Even Moses was so against nudity and all those words. All right. Now, Hinduism, everything was sex. The deities, what they taught, what they did, how they lived, and I mean, Kama Sutra and all the different words they use for sexual energy. Sexual energy has nothing to do with God. Sorry, people. It's what the mind experiences in sheer bliss. The mind has a sense, the 5 senses of the body. And they're nothing to do with God either. When you die, when you step out of this body, Sorry, people, the mind stays here. The mind's a computer. It's programmed with thoughts and thoughts and thoughts. The soul tries to put past lives into it, and the mind can't translate it, so it becomes more twisted dreams. All right. You can get the truth when you become in an altered state in your dreams and things like that. But I'm not going to get into that either today. I don't have much time to do all that. Okay. In all Jesus's teachings, all of them, his whole life, he never said he was God. Never. Even when he was dying on the cross, when he could have said, I'm God, he did not. He still talked to God. And he used the word Father, which I'll repeat over and over, because that's all they knew. There was no aspect of a real God or what a God is. Hindus, Indian people, I mean, the Egyptians, Mayans, all of them, it was related to animals half of the time. And then slowly they mixed animals and humans together to create their deities and stuff. I'm not saying it's all not real, but it's not anything to do pertaining to a real God, the only God. There's many beings, many angels that will work with you, but it's the deities, the entities that will say that that's what you're searching for. And you're not searching for that, people. No matter what you stand before, when they stand before you, they're saying you're not God, even though they're going to tell you they are. They can't say to you straight out, I am God. They cannot say that in the inner worlds. Jesus never said it in the physical either. The only line in the Bible which was twisted was say, he and I are one. He was talking about something totally different. We all become one with God when we listen to what it's teaching us, showing us, and doing. But how many people can do that? How many people have a clue what God is trying to tell us? How many people on this planet have a clue for the reason why they are here? You're not here to change the world. Hell is here for a reason. First grade's there for a reason. College is there for a reason. What reason? To teach you something. So is hell. Hell is not a place you're going to go into. It's a place you're getting out of, which means here. All right. If you will get into Jesus' teachings later, what happened and what was going on when he was what people call when he stepped out of there. All right. We'll do that. Let me get into a few more things. Jesus never lied. He never had to. The same as in Adam and Eve. That God lies to them. Why would God lie to anybody? Why would it have to? It doesn't, and it didn't. Ever. If you believe in a real God, what do you believe it to be? A twisted man sitting on a box? Or the most spiritual being entity that lived all through eternity to allow us, the created, to come here? Well, you could believe what you want. You could believe that the universe is God and all the things that mankind has destroyed God to be. God never died. God was never born. All right? And I know it wasn't the Big Bang that produced God, which science, and they'll never understand God. Ever. And we found the God gene. They found bull. People, if you listen to science, you listen to scientists, you will get so much false information at every single level. All right? They can only deal with physical matter, this reality. Even when they talk about dimensions, they're talking about this reality, not where God dwells, not where the angels dwell, not where Satan. Satan dwells in this reality where Lucifer is not. All right? I'm not going to go into why the astral plane, which is where all souls go when they die, unless they stay here, that's the next plane. All right? The astral plane. That's what people call heaven. All right, that's where you do get judged. It's not like a man comes out, like Peter comes out and says, "Oh, you've been bad." Okay, no, it's your karma is totaled out, and you come back paying whatever it is off. Very few souls get to the astral plane without karma. If they got a teeny little bit of karma, they can work it out on the astral plane. They get to stay there, but that's not many people. All right, obviously Jesus didn't have to go to that place because he was he went to ascension. We'll talk about that later as well. All right. All these people have no clue. 2.5 billion Christians. And they don't know what Jesus was teaching. Sorry, people, you think you do? Well, look, I want to get into it, but there's a few more things I want you to get in your mind to understand. How is it today girls still never have, can believe that they didn't have sex and still have a child? And those kind of things. There's a show on 16, 17-year-old girls pregnant, and they don't know how they got pregnant. Well, we never had sex. Well, how did you get pregnant? Immaculate conception? Of course not. This is called sleeping, drugs, drinking. And when two people are drunk, do they know what happens when they're drinking, when they're on drugs, when any of those things? Do they truly know? Of course not. Never mind when somebody's sleeping, does the other person know? With date rape drugs, do they know anything about it? Of course not. But again, Immaculate Conception doesn't mean Mary was a super powerful being, because she was not. Mary, the mother of Jesus, had no abilities. She was a woman that gave birth to a child, a live, living child with a body. All right? Mary Magdalene, her story is, she went to Ascension. Jesus made her. Not made her, well, through their love for each other, he brought her through it. She had to learn his teachings, or she could have never finished teaching the disciples. How do you teach something you don't know? Well, if your teacher died and you're in like first grade, can you teach college classes? Of course not. You don't know a thing about him, so how can you teach him? Now, when Jesus died, what did his disciples believe? Their whole thing was over. They did not understand the word about eternal, what it meant. It wasn't a real word then. All right. I got a little guy coming at my door. Okay. Now, Mary Magdalene escaped the country. And so did Thomas. Out of all the disciples, they're the ones that got away. All the disciples, and I'm going to tell you this from reasons, they were being killed doing anything Jesus taught them. And he taught them something. He didn't say, well, just pray and ask for forgiveness and your sorry ass is protected. No. He didn't come down here to save your sorry ass. Please, that's not why he was here. And how many people do what's right all the time? Jesus said to his people, the ones that healed themselves, he goes, by your own truth, by your own experience, by your own belief, you were healed. Not by his. He never claimed much at all. Not like the psychic healers today. All right? But he did say, go out and do no more harm, sin, or whatever. That didn't mean come back next year, the year after, 10 years later. Oh, I slipped up and no. The angels, the highest beings, were cast out because they didn't listen. And you and nobody, you expect that to be the same for you? It's not, people. The truth is there if you even read the Bible. You can read the lies, you can read the twisted lies, and you might understand the truth behind some of it. All right. All right. Okay, now when Jesus was on the cross and he was dying, what did he say? Give me one split second. Sorry, let me let this little guy in. Come on, get in. He needs his teachings too. My little munchkin Gizmo. I'll show you him later. Go lay down, Mr. Giz. All right. Now, when he was on the cross and he was dying, what did he say? Who did he talk to? Did he say God? Did he say, he said Father. All right, I will get into that. Thanks. Now, it wasn't, the unforgivable sins didn't come out until the New Testament. Guess who wrote the New Testament? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Okay, and then who finished it with Revelations? John. All right, we'll get into that. In John's teaching, he explains what sins cannot be forgiven. It's in your Bible, not mine, everybody's Bible. Read it. Read Revelations 3 times. Read what's supposed to happen. Read what John said. Read what sins are not forgivable. You're going to be surprised. It's the ones you go to church and say, "Oh, forgive me, forgive me." No, they're not forgivable sins. But that's your choice to understand that. Read it. You say you're a Christian. Read the Bible. Did you ever read the whole Bible? Maybe even twice? Ever read Revelations more than once? You should. There's so much truth about where we are, what's happening right now. And now scientists are coming, well, in the Bible it says how to live forever. No, people didn't want, spiritual people at that time didn't want to live forever. You don't want to stay in hell forever. Why would you want to do that? Say you were 200 years old, you'd see every family person you know dead. Oh, we all have to live forever. No, it's not going to happen. When Moses walked his people around and around in circles, they all died, people. Only the children got to the promised land. The promised land was where they had to kill everybody that was there because there were people there already. People, do you understand the Bible? Do you believe it's spiritual? Tell me what's part spiritual. Moses was responsible for killing so many people. Children as well. So, he kind of said, well, whatever you say is going to happen, but he allowed the energy to allow that to manifest. So all the children died. You know why children died? Because they lived on the bottom floor. When the gases came across the ground, it went through the houses. All the adults lived up on top and the children lived on the bottom. That's why the children died. I don't want to get into that part of it. When people say pay every penny back, they do it. Let's get real important questions in the chat room only, please. All right. We live here for a reason. Not to buy, sell, have. All those words are not part of God's truth. Not part of the reason why you're here. All right. Christians call the word salvation. Overcoming original sin. Another man-made word. Original sin. No, you're not born. Jesus said you're born perfect. Perfect, not with sin. Big difference. Sin means when you come out of your womb, you're taught to be a killer or a rapist, a murderer, or whatever, and you do. You lie, you cheat, you steal. That's what you call original sin. That's what you start with. But reincarnation, Christianity doesn't accept because you did work and live another lifetime. What you did in that lifetime is a carryover of karma. That would be what you would call original sin if you want to call it that. And everybody has a different amount of it. And when you step onto Earth, Earth's karma is exactly what it is. All right. We have to deal with truth. When we look for truth, when we want truth, we got to deal with truth and accept it when we find it. You cannot change it to fit your reality. Christianity, all religions twist it, mold it to fit what they want. When Muhammad went and said he met with Gabriel, and he told his brother said, do you know who you're with? You're with Gabriel. How did his brother know? And how did he know it was really Gabriel? Second time, he got his teachings from Gabriel. If you read the words, read their book. Read what Gabriel said. What it says on those words, it's contradictory to every other sentence that he says. Angels, God, beings, Jesus, all those people don't contradict themselves ever. There's no reason to. One sentence says, love everybody. Next sentence says, only love the people we get. Talk to everybody. Only talk to a few souls. Don't be loud. Be loud. Every contradictory shows there's no truth in what's being said. All right. I don't want to stay on original sin. I mean, it's a sad word. All right. I want everybody to get something out of today, whether you want to or not. And if you don't, you'll probably just leave anyway. I mean, most people don't want to hear the truth about their own religion, never mind everybody else's. All right. Getting back to what do these religions have in common? Everything and nothing. They don't have truth, which is common between all of them, but they have a lot of stories and lies. God is real, really not human. All right. Do you understand that? God never took on a body, never had to have sex, never had to have any of those things. But with its great creating ability, it produced multiple things. It grows. It's not like Bible. Well, I'm insignificant, I'm a significant, oh, those 3 words, whatever. But God changes. God grows. That's why there's monkeys, people, humans, dolphins, and everything else in between. Why there were dinosaurs. Why they were wiped out. All right. Why there were cavemen. Why they were wiped out. All these different things get wiped out for a reason. When you abuse our teaching, inner teachings, we destroy the planet, which we're doing right now. Christianity, Muslims, Hindu, Jewish people, all of them, they're all twisting the truth, living in a lie. And then they create ridiculous things about a religion. Moses is one of the greatest people to do that. He came out with 10 commandments. Well, 20 and he broke 10. But if whatever, he came out with 10, right? Oh, these are useless. I want to create 613 laws he created. Not one person in a Jewish religion can live by 613 laws. And don't. I worked in Jewish temples, Jewish houses. I watch them abuse every law that they have, including the part about being naked in front of somebody. So, when we talk about our religion, which people say they are, religionists or whatever, all right, what does it mean? What does your religion really say? What are you saying you are because you are that? You believe in God? What about God do you believe in? He's protecting your ass. That's all you believe in. He forgives you for whatever you do. No, that's not true. That's why you reincarnate people. Buddha taught that. He knew it was real. And some people now are learning it the hard way, or learning it at least. Not that they're aware of all their incarnations, but at least being aware that they do reincarnate. Why? Because they didn't work out their karma. They don't know what the word karma means. Oh, I do everything right. By whose perception? I live in God's heart. Do you really? What does God's heart mean? What's God love mean? You're here in hell because God loves you. Why? Do you understand that? So you grow out of the programmings to become a true soul, like the angels are learning the hard way. All right. We have aliens playing a role. I don't want to get into that in detail, but the Egyptians, the Mayans, they were following aliens. They weren't following God or angels. The things they did were horrible. They were killing each other, but 50 million native people were killed in what, 400 years? Oh, sure, it was white man, native, English, Spanish, and everybody else, but they started killing each other. The Mayans believe they are the best in each one. The only spiritual people, there's a tribe, I can't even say the word, but the most spiritual tribe that I know is the Hopi tribe. Government's been trying to get them to war with the Apaches and the Lakota and all that. They tried battles. They tried everything to get them all to fight. The Four Corners, luckily they never did. But again, where are we going? What are you doing here? What is the reason for you to have children? What is the reason for you to go to work? What is the reason for you to eat? Well, I want to stay healthy. To do what? To have a big family, to have a car, to have a boat. What does that have to do with God? Tell me. Where's the connection to a house, a car, and a family have to do with God? Well, I'm in love with my children. You could be in love with a tree. You could be in love with a car. Does that mean you understand God at any level? All right. Now, okay, let me just talk about the light. The light comes from God down to this 5 lower worlds where soul dwells in. Right? The physical, the astral, 3rd, 4th, and 5th realms. They're separated. A scientist is never going to get past the astral plane. They can't, no matter what psychic cells and neutrons, photons, electrons, whatever they're playing with, is not going to get them there because they don't exist in that reality. All right? So when you listen to scientists, you're going to listen to the programming of Satan's rules in this reality. Satan likes everything. everything to do with pain, suffering, and to keep you here. Why do you think you get great gifts, even though you're a murderer, a killer, and everything else? They want to keep you here. They don't want you to go into a better place. The deities are, like I said, the main deity is Satnam on the second plane, which is called the Esther plane. Now, there's a deity on the fifth plane where soul dwells when it attains God realization and understands God itself. All right? And let's go of all the other bodies. Let's go of everything that we perceive as reality and truth. The Esther plane is still dealing with the mind. And when you leave this world to go to the Esther plane, many souls are happy there. And will stay there for infinity points of time because it's better than here. You can't kill somebody on an Esther plane. No normal soul can kill another person or soul on that plane, just so you know. So right there, it's better. You can send hate and anger and things like that at each other and stuff, but even the nine silent ones, they all fight. And they're controlling the universe and all those other things. I don't want to get into that either. But all these little things, well, I don't believe that. I don't believe. You don't believe in anything because you don't know any part of the truth. Why are you here? You don't know that. Well, I'm going to make an invention. What? To time travel? To go to space? To destroy another planet? The food, the air, the ground, everything we have is toxic. What kind of mentality is that? And what people do? The richest people make it even worse. All right. Tell a guy he can go to higher realm and have sex. No, you can't. You can't. Just so you know, people. You don't have a body, people. When you let go of this physical body, which is a sexual organ, and the mind-controlled five-sense being, the word being is wrong. It's just a body. It's just like a car. You put a key in, start it. It's got a battery. It's got fuel. It's got all the things that make it run. But a car dies, and so does your body. So karma is very related to like a car, to me, the way I describe it. All right? But when you let go of that and search out why you're here, why are you here? And then you start your mission. Then you start the hardest path ever in all your lifetimes. All your lifetimes, it was the same thing. Having a family, having children, having a castle, having gold, having silver. All those things pertain to nothing spiritual. Not one of them do. You can have sex 24 hours, 7 days a week. Does that make you spiritual? Kundalini and Kama Sutra and all those words? No. What are they teaching? What did Shiva, Durga, Kali teach? Do you know? I mean, do you believe? There's two different stories of Shiva, but both of them are half twisted by man. And you know, you have to think, okay, if deities were playing with people then, why aren't they playing with people now? Why aren't the angels hanging out everywhere? Why aren't all these things happening now? Because we created hell 10 times over. You think Jesus would want to come back to hell to do what? Save who? Do you really believe you deserve to be saved? From what? Being an asshole? What do you believe, people? Do you ever think and sit back? What do I really believe? What do I know? What happens when I die? I become universe? And what's that mean? Nothing? You know everybody's thoughts? Are there many people on this planet that have anything positive to think about? Other than making money? Selling you something? Bribing you? Having sex? What outside of that? Oh, the sports game's on. Oh, what else? Nothing. Cheap thrills? All those things have nothing to do with your soul. You go down a ride. Oh, it's exciting. You think soul's excited because it went down a little hill? Soul can go anywhere in the universes. And it cares about going down a roller coaster? See, we limit because that's all we know. Or it's all most people know. You listen to these people that claim to be spiritual people, spiritual leaders, talking about what? God doesn't ask you to pray to it. Ever. Never did. All right? Jesus was teaching simple-minded people. And those people had very little words fish, dish, bowl, plate, spork, spoon. I mean, what words does they have? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. You have a word like that for anything? And you know what the longest word with numbers is? It's called goo-goo. You think they sort of goo-goo, meaning all these zeros after a one. I mean, words we created, and we create more and more and more. Do they have any meaning or more importance than any other word? But we're here for a simple reason. In hell, it's easy to see the lies. If you look, what did your mother ever tell you that was spiritually important? Jesus is real, God is real. They told you Superman, Batman, the Easter Bunny, all those, the boogeyman, all of them were real for how long? When did they tell you they weren't real? Years later? You were programmed for years about that being real, and then you're told, oh, they're all fake, but God's real. Okay, now you're supposed to shift over and believe that too? The programming that children go through is a bad, horrible thing. 99.9% of all people in a relationship, in a marriage, that have children abuse them at many levels. And the word protection. We're all protect them if somebody comes to rob the house, but they don't protect them when they come home from a bar with this negative energy that they pour all over their children. All these little things. Does anybody care or know or even think about it? When you go into these new age people's houses and well, I eat healthy food. There's no such thing as healthy food on this planet. You could believe it. You could believe in the word organic. The air is contaminated. Anything that touches the air is contaminated, people. Now that they're spraying more and more chemicals on everything, what do you think's healthy to eat or drink? Nothing. So when you say, oh, I'm pure. Pure what? Pure heart? When you say you send unconditional love, that's another word used by Christians and a lot of so-called spiritual people. Okay, what's that mean? Oh, I send love to people starving to death? You think it helps them? I look at the most spiritual country in the world, which was Tibet. All right, those people pray all day long. They care about nothing other than that. And they were slaughtered by freaking Chinese people. Do you understand that? They begged the United States. They begged countries to help them. Nobody would. You know why? They had nothing to offer the people. If they had gold, silver, uranium, or any of those words, people would have got involved helping them. Man, in his twisted, sick ego, doesn't do anything unless he's getting something in return. And you talk to men, well, I'd rather just pay a hooker rather than pay my wife because she's going to want more money, and it's going to be every day. You see, the limited, perverted, twisted ideas man creates for himself has nothing to do with God. And women are being pulled into it more and more. And they still don't realize women never had freedom. Ever. Yes, you're right about that. People, we got problems. But the problem you should be dealing with is, where are you? Why are you here? And where are you going to go? And why? All right, I'm lucky. I'm not bragging. I just say I'm lucky. I had 5 death experiences. I spent 45 years traveling out of my body. I met with deities, angels. I met with Satan. They're all real people. But do you know what they do, what they really are thinking and stuff? Well, and then the top of it, we got aliens here too now. And they're not playing fair at any level. But the government can't admit that either. When we had rights, we never had rights. Religion, poor Native people had any rights? No. The black complain about more rights that they don't have? Well, guess what? The Native people were living here before anybody else was. And they don't even have the rights to the land which is called the United States. And they're still being treated like animals on the reservation. I'm not going to get into all those details because it's horrible. Mount Rushmore is a symbol of it. I got to fight with Native people about that. They don't even know what it means. But they put Crazy Horse up there, which was important. You know, in the Emerald Tablets, Thought said, the truth will always destroy the lies in the end. But what's the end? The end of your life, the end of reality, the end of people, the end of this world. What is the end? All right. Now, I'm going to throw this in real fast. There's a real video online where the government was actually interrogating an alien, and it's real, people. Watch it. I'm not going to go into what it said, what he said, what's happening, what he believes is going to be happening. All right. You know, religion is probably the most censored word as far as schools, churches, buildings, everything. Even a look at the White House. What's the symbols around it? You think Moses is spiritual? What did he create that was spiritual? A promised land? The promised land is heaven. When he walked those people around in circles for 40 years, those families died and the children went into the promised land. But no, they went into a land that they thought was called the promised land. Those people that died stepped into the promised land because they left their bodies. It's simple, and it's in front of your face, but you too ignorant to look at the facts behind what it really means. All right, let me try to see how much further I could get. All right, when you go to the ESO plane, you're still male or female, but you can pick your age, which is cool. You want to be 25, you want to be 45, you can be a baby, but just guess what? You'll be stuck there for a super long time. The time on the ESO plane is much longer by years than we are here. Like 100 days is 100 years there. All right, you'd be there a lot longer. Earth is the most simplest, fastest, easiest way to actually learn what God realization means. Well, guess what? You have to learn self-realization first. Why are you here? And what are you? How can you compare that to God if you don't know what that is first? All right, what did Jesus come here to teach people? I know people are going to come and go out of the show. They get bored with one thing. They don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear that. Shut the door. Oh, sorry. All right. After the ESO plane, it gets 1,000 times better, people. If people really knew that, they wouldn't want to stay here. People that have a death experience are a little bit better. All right, let me explain this. I spent the past couple years listening to everybody's near-death experience. 90% of them are the same. Oh, I met my grandmother. I met my grandfather. I met Jesus. I met God. And they told me I got to stay here. Well, yes, you got to stay here because you did come back. But what really was going on? What did you actually see? The mind cannot perceive that. The mind can only perceive what it was programmed to believe and understand. A computer can't tell you about how much fun sex is. I mean, in the near future it will be, but I'm not going to get into that. But right now, you can only talk and see based on the facts. It's a computer. It takes its facts and pushes them together to create what it sees. It knows nothing about God, so how can it tell you about God? Because you're standing near it or closer to it. When you stand before an angel, your mind can't tell you what it is. Only soul can. And you have to learn to listen to what soul's telling you rather than your mind. Your mind's so programmed, it believes everything it wants to. That's why every book written was twisted and molded into what that person believed in. The Anunnaki story, the Sumerian tablet story, all this, the Emerald Tablets was when freaking the real story, whether you want it or not, Thought, the Atlantean, not the storybook Atlantean, but the real Thoth, who brought 9 races here to this planet. He was allowed by the Council of 9 to bring them here. But guess what? We lived in harmony. We lived in the Golden Age. We lived in the Garden of Eden for a long period of time. And the story is, it was destroyed. And it was destroyed by who? God? No. Aliens. Whether you want to know that or not. They were brainwashed. We became massive killers, rapists, sacrificing people. All those things came after. See, aliens couldn't use us the way we were. Nobody could. After that happened, Satan was allowed to take control. Because now everybody hated and had fear and all those words that they like to use. And killing became incredibly the in thing to do. And we're there now. Even though we say we want love and peace, do we? Who does? If there was world peace, what would we do? Build a bigger spaceship to bring more people to another planet? What do you think people would do? John Lennon was bringing peace to the world, but he was bringing sex to the world as well. We don't need more sex. We don't need more people. We've got enough people on this planet. So, when we talk about teachings, who do you listen to? I gave you names of the so-called spiritual people. Even in the native nation, there's so much chaos and disruption of what's really supposed to be happening. But if the medicine man didn't sell out to the government, they put their own government in there in all the nations in the United States, just so you know that. I don't want to go too far into that now. To understand deities, you can. But I don't know many people that actually work with deities. They do not tell you what to do on this planet. Nobody does. Let me close this window, unless you want to hear roosters croaking or chickens. I'm sorry. Shut up. Man. Well, that's what I deal with in Hawaii. Roosters and chickens. All night, all day. What a drag. And there's all kinds of laws here about them as well. Nobody enforces half of them. All right, Hinduism was the first religion on this planet, and it was all sex. All right, and I mean, before that, it was more animal worship. All tribal people, what did they know? The mind can only produce and deal with what it's programmed or understands, which is limited to the time frame that it's in. Go to the future. Take out one of the people in the future. Time traveling, all those things will be so much different in their consciousness. You'll be able to describe other worlds and things like that. But so what? Has nothing to do with the real God. Universal energy. What do you think it means? Universe doesn't create people. Now, even the greatest scientists, or a few of them, all said it had to be an organized entity to create something that would constantly move forward. Now, when you multiply cells, no matter where or how or whatever, they don't get better every time they multiply. We would have multiple creatures and entities walking around right now. 3 heads, 10 arms, all these kind of things. 2 cells don't multiply into the positive thing always, which the humans have actually become. Positive. Pure. Like Jesus said. All right. But in that, everybody doesn't follow or understand it, and they corrupt everything around them. All right. I don't want to get, it's Easter, and I want to get into Jesus a little more than I am right now. But I want to get you aware of history, religion, teachings. I'm not going to go into the bad religions, what I call bad, hurting people and all those kind of things. No need to. I'm sure you're aware that they're not beneficial spiritual paths to take. Santeria, voodoo, witchcraft. Now there's white and black witchcraft, magic. I was a high priest. I learned all about psychic abilities. And I used them. And I learned they can't be used here. Because they will destroy reality. These people that think we're going to get all these super abilities. What ability you think you could get that would help mankind move forward? Levitation? Now they're saying vibration can move things. Of course it can. Einstein said no, and when they levitated a frog with a magnetic field, guess what? Things changed. But it's physical reality. Has nothing to do with the soul. All those things are here in the physical, based on whatever scientists want to find out. It's just how cells work and what they can do, what they can create. But it's not creating your soul that stays within the body. Your body dies and soul leaves it. And they now can prove that as well. All right. Now, let me just see where I want to go after this. There's no such thing as good here. We're not good. That's why we're here. When you listen to these speakers and people, oh, you can be your higher self. You are the highest you can be. You're not going to become higher, just more aware of what you do. That's all. Being responsible. Well, I was a high priest. I had 13 people in my covenant, but that's one thing. I learned good and bad right away. I learned negative and positive action, black and white magic. They're separate. But then again, when you play with magic, you're playing God. Like I said, if one person could see 1 minute into the future, they could change the reality of the whole world. That's simple. 1 minute. Not one lifetime or none of that. Just 1 minute into the future. Plane's going to crash. Hey, shut your motor off. Do this, do that. And change the course of major outcomes of anything. Go to a casino and take all their money. Go in every casino. They shoot him and kill him before he gets too many casinos. But then again, if you could, realize, I'm not going to say her name. Person in the UFO world claims to levitate a piece of paper. Claims she can change people's DNA. Well, I learned that from medicine when I studied with 35 years ago. Doing a certain prayer over your food can change the vibration of it. But is that spiritual? Well, it depends what you want to call spiritual. If you even have a clue what spiritual means. People use the word spiritual the same as they use the word ascension. Ascension is not for normal people, and nobody here has gone through it that's alive right now. I was close to it. All right. And when you attain it, you don't need to stay here anymore. Why would you? You can't change hell. You don't have the right to. Every soul that's here is here to learn what it is. If God wanted every soul to be a God-realized soul, they would be with God. And there would be no reason to be here. But he wanted every speck of itself, to be pure and smart and aware and all those words. But it's going to schooling. You don't start school in college and go down to kindergarten. You start in kindergarten to go to college. But schools do not teach you anything spiritual either. My brother went to a Catholic school. He became an atheist. I slowly got him around a little. At least he believes there's a God of some kind. But, when you deal with people, say there's no God, is there a reason for life? What? Cheap thrills? Having sex? What would be a reason for life if there wasn't something better to get to? If I knew totally, I had 5 death experiences, but if I knew this was the bottom or the top of the ladder, I would suffer the rest of my life here for what reason? To get nowhere? To know that you're going to go somewhere makes it that much more important to keep driving to get closer to it. But Satan's job is not to let you see that. Keep you dedicated to drugs and food and medicine and sex and on cheap thrills and sports. Do any of them help you attain anything aware about a God? Of course not. Do you believe praying? And I have to deal with high medicine person. I have to deal with a lot of people. Well, we pray. Did praying ever help anybody? No, it doesn't. Well, things happen. Somebody gets better. Oh, I prayed and he was healed. No. Drugs help. Medicine helps. People help. Not taking medicine helps. There's a lot of different reasons for things to change. Not God waved its magic hand over you and said, "Puff, you're healed." No, it's not like it was in the Bible. Not today. Jesus isn't here, and he's not coming back here. Would you step back into hell for any reason? How many souls do you think Jesus would come down here to actually save? What one religion says, 144,000? Really? I don't know 10 people that I know are super spiritual. Out of all these so-called spiritual people, I don't know one that can say anything about a real God, anything about the higher realms. Now, a religion called Eckankar and Shab Yoga talk about it. the deities, the God, the people that run it, were their master. And they're not even allowed to talk about their experiences and things like that. And it's good in one way, because some people just want to brag about their experience and say this. You know, it was a time in my life I said, God, thank you for everything. Give these experiences to people that really need them. You know what I was shown over time? Souls that deserve it get it, not else, nobody else. Well, they can't give a murderer a good experience. They don't deserve it. Now, how many people on this planet think they deserve to be said, oh, me, I got my hand up. Why? Well, I didn't do any bad things. Oh, well, I asked for forgiveness for this and that. Ask for forgiveness again. Saving your sorry ass for what? To bring you into a higher level to do what? Do you even know what you would do when you get there? Of course not. How many people do? How many people care to find out? So that's why you're here, whether you want to realize that or not. All right, let me just see. All right, I want to say this. Jesus never said he was God. Ever. And I can go into that, but I'm not. But he never said it. All right. Even when he was dying, which was the biggest time for him to come out and say, I am God, he didn't. He was still talking to his Father, asking him why he was going through what he had to go through. The mind steps in, always. Blocks anything that's true and important from getting through. So when he was dying and he said, my Father, why have you forsaken me? I mean, he said it in different words, but he said it. Why didn't he say, I'm God? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing this the right way? No, he was in pain, suffering, and dying. And he was stepping out of this body, learning about that. But he had to prove it to these people that had no clue. If Jesus didn't die, he could have never proved what he was teaching. I don't know about the Catholic religion. Basically, in the Catholic religion, it was the priest that wasn't allowed to get married. Women would never had power. Ever, people. And they didn't want women to step in the place of power. Ever. I mean, when the queen came out and the king and the queen, well, they had to have a sex person to be around them, period. That's what it was always about. Not they wanted a woman for superpowers. But, you know, like I said, when Joan of Arc was killed, they were afraid because she was leading armies. You know, marrying in different religions is so different. In different countries, it's different. And most people in the United States only know what Christianity in the United States teaches. All right. Let me see what time it is. I don't even know. Hold on. All right. That was the first hour. I'm going to switch to the second part of this workshop, whatever I want to call it. Whatever. Happy Easter, everybody. It doesn't sound happy because it's not a happy day for most people, or it shouldn't be, because they don't know what it really means. Time to give your children candy. What do you think Easter's all about? Right, it's 1 hour mark. So, being said, Happy Easter, what does it mean to you? Does it mean anything to you? It's just one more day going by? Well, sorry, people. I know you're not Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, whatever, every other religion. But now, I'm going to say this, and this is coming from the ultimate truth, whether you want to believe it or not. Someday you will, and I will tell you that. If not in this lifetime, the next one, or maybe 100 lifetimes from now, you will find out one truth. Jesus was the only one that taught about a singular, real God. The only one, all through history. Aliens didn't teach about God. The freaking Mayans, the Aztecs, and all them talked about alien gods and everything else. They never talked about a real God. Aliens don't know. They're not high spiritually as we are, considering we're not high spiritually either. All right. Okay, let's see. My co-host in my UFO show was being targeted. I'm being targeted a lot of different ways right now. I don't know if this is going to be online or not. If you're watching it, I'm glad you are, because they took my show off Tuesday. It disappeared from Facebook. I was blocked on. I was blocked on Facebook for an hour. YouTube took it and made it disappear. So I'm getting too close. I try not to get into government in the UFO world because that takes you out real fast. But right now, the government's releasing 3 major weapons in the United States. And that should be the next important thing to people that care about life in this physical reality. 5G, which is a weapon, and it's called 5G Arrow. DEW, directed energy weapon, being used by the United States. But the most serious, important thing is we're going to release a ship by the end of this year. It only costs $40 billion. It'll be the most advanced weapon at every level in this reality. And I'm not going to go into that because we have the ability to kill most of the alien races as well. But I'm not going to go into those details. It has nothing to do with Jesus. All right. So now let's get today is an important day for the human history, whether they want to accept it or not. All these spiritual persons, Gandhi had so many people killed. Everybody's fighting to kill to get to the truth. The truth is you don't have to kill to get to the truth. But we're so programmed, so negatively programmed. And children are being more programmed now than ever in history. And parents don't care. Oh, I don't got nothing to do with I can't do anything with my children, so I guess I'm going to just let them play a computer game all day. And what are those games? Killing, destroying, and everything under the sun. You could be good and bad in the same game and stuff like that. What's that teach a person about life? Now, with all these horrible movies still being made, you ask yourself why. People like fear. No matter what they say, they like anger, they like hate, they like death. I mean, a special that's on Sundays about gladiators, it was on for a while. And gladiators all through time, the way they used to bring animals and creatures into the ring and stuff was crazy. They brought a giraffe in to fight a guy. I mean, they brought different things in to fight these people. Just for entertainment. And where were all the people? Watching. The same as, we're supposed to grow spiritually. Does anybody have a clue what that means? Does that mean boxing should be a good sport? Strongman wrestling, all those sports should be pushed on children? And then the worst thing of all of them, guns. Really? Guns make peace? Guns save lives? Guns take more lives than they do save. Mankind has accepted so much false teachings at every level. And these people that come out believe their truth. Do I believe mine? No, I know my truth is real. I said my life is dedicated and only to God. Nobody else. Not the government, not people, not friends, family, nobody. It's dedicated to God first. God's truth, not man's truth. Man's truth is ridiculously wrong, horrible, no matter what they tell you. Did anybody want to tell you about a good God? How about a bad God? He's such a good, loving God, but he has children dying, getting killed, shot at 10, 5, and all that. You think that's a positive world to be in? If God could change it, you think God would? No, because he doesn't. Sorry, I keep using the word because mankind loves the word he. It doesn't. They don't like the word it. It's an it. Oh, no, God's a he. Oh, really? But now women want to say he's a she. He doesn't have genitalia, so he's not either. All right. So, the most important day in our history. What are people doing today? Some people go to church. Some people pray. Some people do a couple things. Pray for everybody. Pray for this. Pray for that. Why? You think your words are more important than God's? God knows what's happened down here. God gave you the ability to think. Why don't you? Prayer is sitting in a box doing nothing. Going out and doing something is doing something. No matter how simple or complicated it is, doing something's better than doing nothing. You want a job, sitting there and looking at a box. You think the job's going to come through the mail and say, hey, you got a job now? Anything has action. Without action, there is nothing. If you go into the bliss state and go into nothingness, you're doing nothing. You are nothing. Period. You lose self-worth of what you and truly are. Why God allowed you to be what you are. And why would you want to do that? I have no clue. Yes, I do. You're programmed. Sex and drugs and cheap drills and sports. Sports is the most useless thing on the planet. The native people used to play sports. Called stickball because they had a stick and rocks and banging them back and forth. But it wasn't to win. It was just to play. Sports should be legal if it was done without money. Now it's about money. All sports are about money. Golfing, kicking, hitting a teeny little ball and get paid millions of dollars? Really? A boxer knocking somebody or trying to knock somebody out, get paid $150 million? Really? You know, our perversions, our twisted reality is just getting worse. And we want to say, Jesus is protecting us and Jesus this and God that. If you don't know them and don't listen, what good is it? I do not use a religious name. I don't call myself spiritual. I say I'm walking a spiritual path. When I attain spirituality, I leave planet Earth. There's no reason to stay here. All right? Most of you do not want the truth. And you're going to say, oh, I'm coming from ego. I'm coming from my twisted truth. No, it's not twisted. I put my life on the line. I challenge you, anybody in the name of God that proved me wrong. Prove that God's not real. Prove that God doesn't have different worlds beyond this realm. Many people can experience them. And if you do, you realize you're living in the worst one of them all. I'm not going to get into AI, all right? Not today. That's freaking mankind's ignorance. Aliens created AI for a reason, and it's population depletion. I'm not going to go into all that. It has nothing to do with what Jesus came here for. All right? Jesus was here for one reason. Not to forgive you, not to save your sorry ass, to teach you how to get out of the body, to get into the soul body, to get closer to the higher realms of God. That's what he was here for. Really. Mary Magdalene did that and taught that. After Jesus was killed, she had to finish teaching the disciples and then had to run and hide because they were going to kill her and her child. She got out of the country. She went to France and taught there. And Thomas went to India. I don't know how much Hinduism and Indian people in India actually accepted much of his teachings then. But that's why they say Jesus went to two places and was here and there. You didn't have a name tag saying, I'm Jesus, and walk around the world. And if you were wanted by everybody, you didn't get too far along the way. Mary Magdalene had many abilities, people. Now, the picture on the cover of my show today is Mary Magdalene's created face over her skull. And that's what she really looked like because I was there. And that's what she really looked like. All right? Not only that, she was the most powerful woman that ever walked this planet. And the Bible can't talk about that because she was a woman. But the disciples had to learn that or they would have never saw Jesus. Never. Peter, most egotistical person probably on the planet at that time. Women are nothing. He had to learn that. He had to accept Mary Magdalene to learn, to study, and listen to what she was teaching. I'm not upset. I'm just telling you the truth because people don't want to listen. Sorry, people. You know, if you go to a church, I went to a evangelist church for a year. And if they don't say something, you don't listen. Not really. I'm not going to. Because, it's a real sacred path. And, people of the path need to find it. Ask me, and I keep working with you. And people that want the truth, I ask the questions, and I'll help answer them for you. But Jesus' teachings was way beyond meditation. And when people did any form of that, they were killed. That's simple. When you look at the pictures and you hear the things, all these crosses, all these people on them, because they tried to do what Jesus was teaching them. They all attained the astral plane. Once you give yourself over to soul, to spirit, to Jesus, or to God, I mean, Jesus was a teacher. He didn't claim to be God, but he's a teacher now. All right. When you go to a class and you listen to your teacher, do you accept everything they're saying? If you do, why? Do you trust them? I had teachers of multiple levels, deities, angels, and masters on this planet. But I made them prove what and who they are. And that's something you should always do. You went through ascension. Please show me you can do something important. I'm trying to think. I'm not going to say her name. I got people on my sad list and really sad list. But when you claim things, why? You think you're better than somebody else? If you could levitate a piece of paper, does that make you important? 32 gifts that you get. Levitation's only one of them. All right? Which is the only one I never learned. Sorry. But again, crossing people over and all those kinds. I went through all of that. Not intentionally. Not that I knew what I was doing when I was pushed into the situation. But I never read what to do. I just did it. I let soul leave my body. I was 6 years old in a hospital. My brother was being abducted by a ship. And I ran over to the window and jumped into the light beam and put my hands on the window. Why? I had no clue. The ship shot right back out into space. That was the first thing that changed my reality. So, when you listen to soul, you don't have to think. You do, all right? And there's always, you do the right thing or the wrong thing. If you listen to the mind, you might not ever do the right thing. There's two doors. You take the left or the right. Soul will tell you which one to take, and so will the mind. So which one do you listen to? When we talk about reincarnation, when you die, all right, when Jesus died, they pierced him and did all kinds of stuff, beat him for days, and you name it. He was in so much pain. All right? And when he died, the second you're crossing over, there's always, is it going to happen? Am I going to be aware when I die? And if you're at a spiritual place, any spiritual place, you will see it. So, now Jesus left his body. Now, how did these people see his body? He wasn't a solid being walking around in a physical body anymore. That's the teaching he was teaching people. Not saving your ass and asking for forgiveness and all that kind of stuff. What do? What kind of meditation do you do? Well, how do I get to see him? Well, Peter said, well, I don't know. And he never saw Jesus until Mary said, well, look, if you really want to see Jesus, this is what you're going to have to do. And he finally did. But they were all walking away from their own religion. If you call it a religion, Jesus didn't come here to teach a religion. It's a path to God, and that's not a religion. It's the truth of soul and what it has to do to get somewhere else. Call driving a car spiritual? No, walking around in a body is not spiritual either. Nothing we do here is spiritual. Well, I saved an animal. What? It had its own karma. Everything has karma. You stepping into somebody else's space is karma. All these so-called psychic healers. I'm going to heal you. Really? Now what? You believe it, your adrenaline flows through your body for a period of time, and suddenly you got a really bad disease and you die 2 years later. If a psychic was real and they said, "What do you want me to heal?" "Heal me so that I don't ever die." That would be the first thing I would ask them. All right, when people say, "Well, I got a kidney stone, I got a liver, my liver's this, that, and the other thing." Well, guess what? It's still temporary. Even if it was healed, you're going to live 125 years, not longer. Even though we got Gates and Musk spend probably multi-millions of dollars trying to live here forever, because they're afraid to die. Like I will repeat this again. I say it almost everything I do. Jesus said it many times in the Bible, many times when I was around him. He said, it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Why? Why would he say that? How many rich people were around him at that time frame? But he knew what was happening, and he knew what it would do. Rich people cannot get into heaven. Sorry, rich people. Oh, you pray and you go to church, really? What God tell you to do lately? Donate some money? You got $10 billion and you donated what, 5%? In the churches, they say 40% of your money. Does any spiritual person that's super rich do that? I doubt it. Money is the root to all evil. That was a phrase. I don't know who actually originally said it, but it's true. All right. Now, getting back to when Jesus was speaking, when he spoke to the lame people, the what's the right word for them? The humble people without any real college and schooling or any word, not college, but schooling or things like that, can't spell, can't write, simple-minded people. Who was able to write down what he said? Anybody take shorthand at that time frame? Did anybody know what he was saying when he said it? When you hear a parable, you got to think it out. So if you have a parable and you're sitting there trying to think it out, how are you going to remember to write anything else? The idea that all these things were written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. No, that's a lie too. The people around him wrote it, but again, 2 of them weren't disciples. An evangelist follows a teacher, and they absorb what they want. So I'll give you the ability to go into a Bible and search out which one was the 2 disciples and the 2 evangelists. It's in there. All right. Who wrote Revelations? John did. The most important story to read today, not 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, or even 2,000 years ago. It's today. It's what's happening. What's going to happen. So they didn't have a conception of a God. The Mayans didn't. The Aztecs didn't. All tribal people didn't. A monkey god, an elephant god, all those ideas created by the Hindu people. Hinduism in that path. Hinduism split into Tibet, and Tibet created more deities to work with. They didn't have enough, so they added a lot more. It's like saying we had an alien race, but no, a lot of people say we had 9 alien races. Now they're saying we had 27 alien races. Just create more of it. Go online and say how to create a religion. And the first thing it'll say, create a super powerful God. I mean, all these Jones cases when they have these taking them to God and all those kind of things. It's a programming. Everything's a program, people. Unless you go inside your own self without hardcore drugs, you'll experience the truth if you try and work at it. I tell my people that you can't push on that door. It opens in. You can't push on it to open it out. You got to step back and let it open. But how much are you really putting into that happening? How much do you really want it? I really want it. What are you doing to make it happen? Well, I got to work. I got to do. You got to do a lot of things, but you could do a lot in a little bit of time. First thing is to accept that there is a truth, that there is a real truth, that you got to find it. If you don't do that, you're going to live by all the lies that are programs. All right. Jesus always used the word Father everywhere he went, because that would be the only thing those people could understand. Think you could talk about reincarnation without proving it? I say I'm a reincarnation. Big difference, but I made the word up, but I created it. Meaning I knew I was coming back for a reason. This was basically going to be my last time. I could screw it up. Anybody can screw their path up at any given time, like the angels did. When you override God and say, I am he that, you overstep your boundaries. Now, when you do your meditations and when you're doing these things, you challenge everything that comes to you. You should challenge everything that comes to you. Because deities, entities will come to you and they'll say things like, I am all that you search for. I am everything that you need. I am all the things you want. Any kind of statement like that. They can't say, I am God. They'd burn up right then and there. In the inner world, it's not here. Because many people say they're God. Even David Wilcock came out and said he was God when he went on TV. All right, and he's super famous now. We believe so much stuff. We believe all these lies. But what did Jesus really do? When he met people, why did he heal them? He said, by your own, you healed yourself. All right, not by his. He never claimed to be a super healer. He never claimed anything, ever. And if you read that in the Bible, it's a lie too. All right, Jesus taught about soul's journey. He talked about races, alien races. He talked about everything. But those people weren't aware of much at that time. Yeah, she's in the background singing, sorry. But, like I said, if you got an important question, put it in the chat room. If not, don't say anything. Sorry, people. I'm not doing this for fun or pleasure. This is the most sacred day of the year in the world of history. All right? And it's about why mankind has stepped down instead of step up. And they still rather step down than step up. Step up to the truth. No, they rather bow down to the lies. Praying is not the answer. Begging God's not the answer either. God watches your actions when you deserve to be watched, not before. God's not watching everybody going to the bathroom or drinking and partying and whatever. It doesn't need to. It doesn't want to. And it doesn't come down here it doesn't come down here ever, but it doesn't need to watch that. All right? The angels come down and help people when they need it. If people are even aware to do that, you need to find your angels. Everybody has angels. Find them. They're right next to you. And if you ignore them too much, they will leave if they're not gone already. I'm 70 years old, people. It took me that long to get where I am now. And only in the past 20 years did I attain what I came here for. I went through religion after religion after religion. And they're all bull. No answer to what God is. No answer to what heaven is. No answer to anything important. Well, follow the Bible. What's it say? Pray this prayer, and ask for forgiveness. Well, you shouldn't be asking for forgiveness. You shouldn't be doing things that you need to ask for forgiveness for. People, why don't I shaved? People, when we go out into this world and we face people, your energy touches them, not the words you say. I know everywhere I went in my life, I always had people coming to me. Went to the islands. I had the island people, this rich magicians. They come to my house for dinner. I met people everywhere I went, including motorcycle gangs come up to me. You know, when you have the light, when you have the light, things come to you, good and bad. But look in the mirror, see your own light. Work on changing that. That's a simple technique. If it's red, green, orange, purple, black, you want yellow, white, and blue. Period. No other colors. All right? Learn that and work on changing your energy. There's little machines. I just saw it online now. And it shows you what level, what vibration you're at and all that, which is cool. But, we're relying on machines more than we rely on ourselves. But remember, AI and machines are going to take you to their level, not to God's level. They can't go there. All right. I want to just pass this. I already said that. Jesus talked about things, and here's a little couple sentences that he said that are important. He said, it's not what you put in your body, it's what comes out. You really need to analyze that statement. What was he talking about? What did he mean? All right. He told different people different things because they weren't ready for this or they weren't ready for that. You go to a bunch of farmers and you tell them, oh, well, God's watching over you. Oh, what's God? Oh, it's a great protector. And what's it going to protect me from? You tell me that, people. Did your son ever get sick? Your daughter ever get sick? You ever lose a child? Ever get hit by a car and lose your partner? Whatever. Are you protected from those kind of things? No, you're not. When God allowed Jesus to come here and teach, Jesus had to be 100% right on. So when he talked, he wasn't lying like Adam and Eve and all those other stories, all the so-called gods and things. When God said our kind, what the freak does that mean? God is God, period. Deities are on the other realms. But when we talk about Jesus was the most honest, real person. All right? He didn't do anything for money. He wasn't asking for fame and fortune. Children ran to him because they could see the light within him. I know some famous writer put a book out and says children never went to God or Jesus, and they weren't. Where did they get these facts? You pull facts out of the air. I was there. I can tell you what was going on. Everywhere Jesus went, people were running towards him, including children. Children are brought to always go to the light. Always. It's like a fly to a mosquito or any kind of flying bug to a light. They'll fly into it until they get burnt and die. People, are you searching for God really? Do you care what Jesus was really teaching you? Protection. Forget protection. You're not protected. I'm not protected. The government could come in here tomorrow and shoot me, take me out, whatever. Give me a lot of money, and I guess I would have to hide, right? Like my ex-partner in the UFO world. He came into a lot of money, changed his name, but he changed it from Sergeant 18 to Lord Sargell. That's pretty weird, claiming he's a lord. I mean, he was claiming Sergeant 18, meaning the 18th captain of a UFO, to Lord Sargell. All right? But he was paid big money, and then he took everything we did down everywhere. Well, people, I don't know how much of the government's involved with that, but I know they're harassing me now. But I live until I die. I'm going to bring the truth out, period. Whether UFO people want to hear it, which they don't, which spiritual people don't want to hear it, religious people don't want to hear it. They want to believe this, that, and the other thing. Really? You're going to heaven? And what are you going to do when you get there? How do you get there? What you take the elevator? Who's bringing you there? What are you going to be wearing when you get there? A suit, tie, Sneakers, what kind of clothes you're going to be wearing? All these little things. Answer it. If you think you know, you don't. How long's your hair going to be? You're going to comb your hair? You're going to wear a mop? Or what? You care about what you're going to look like on the astral plane? Again, you pick your age if you stay there. Right? If you're going to stay there, you pick your age. If you're not, you'll be what you look like here for 10 years and then come back here. That's simple. That's the law. When you want to understand it, the 10 years is a little bit different for everybody, depending on how bad or good they were. But you have to be able to go into a body when you reincarnate. That's exactly where your karma is. And I'm not making this up. You don't have to believe it. I came back directly because I had to. I had to take a body where the karma was equal, which it wasn't. And I stepped into this reality that I'm in. All right. So, we're living in a world where no matter how hard you try to teach people the truth, they look upon it as a joke or a story, make believe, they don't care. They say they care for how long. But when you look in the mirror, what do you see? What do you think you're going to look like after your body dies? And what do you think the capabilities of that body is going to be? It's called the astral body when you're on the astral plane. The soul body is when you're pure and you step out of all the lower realms into the highest of the lower levels. That's the fifth plane. And when you go from the fifth plane to the 12th plane, they're all high levels, but they're all yourself. I'm not going to get into that because you're not even past the astral plane yet. And if you're talking about that to me, then we could talk about a higher realm. Each realm has a god or gods. And you just can't go past them, people. I don't care. Oh, I went to Ascension. I could go anywhere. No, you can't. You didn't go to Ascension, and you didn't go past all the gods. Like I said, very few souls are allowed to go to Ascension. The techniques there, you can do it. I did it for 2 years. The medicine woman I studied with taught its teaching of Ascension. It's a physical exercise you got to do while you're doing meditation and everything else. She was brought into she was with an Aborigine tribe, and they brought her into a cave, and they taught her. But again, attaining ascension is not easy, or possible for most people. So many people claim that. The person I did my show with 12 years claims she created the word in Hawaii in the 80s. No, Jesus did it. Mary Magdalene did it. Nobody else I know did. Not in our history. You go back to the Mayans, the Aztecs, they weren't dealing with that. They had psychic abilities. In Atlantis, people were pure. We had 32 psychic abilities. We all did. We didn't have murder. Didn't have sacrifice. We didn't eat animals. All those things didn't exist. So purity at one level is different than purity at another level. I mean, you could eat meat. It's not going to stop you from being spiritual now. Jesus made that clear. Moses tried to twist that again every which way. Or if you eat this, or you eat that, or you eat this, or that, blah, blah, blah. No, it wasn't like that. It's not like that. Creatures are here for us to live. I mean, when there's an overuse or a different thing, it becomes wrong. All right. Well, let me go and... Okay, which he would have said when he was, again, back to when he was on the cross. He would have said he was God. And if he would have said that, what would have happened? They still would have killed him. All right, people are afraid of power, even though they say God is super powerful. How do they know that? How could you prove God's super powerful being a person on this planet right now? So, every story is broken down to a man's ego. Are my stories ego? No. I had 5 death experiences. I'll tell you, it wasn't a normal thing. Any one of them. What happened, what I saw, what I did. When I was a high priest, I learned that psychic energies are real, as real as anything else, but they're not usable. Sure, Mayans could levitate things and all that as well. Did that make them spiritual? Superpowers don't make you spiritual. Superman, is he spiritual? Is green? I mean, all the ideas of super powerful beings, are they spiritual? No, we got to kill the bad people. Bad people say we got to kill the good people. No, they say we got to kill the bad people too, don't they? When 2 boxers go into the ring, who's the bad one? Who's the good one? The good one's the one that wins and gets most of the money. But we're still doing that. 2023, and we still allow people to get paid to beat other people up. Isn't that kind of bizarre? Football, fighting for a couple hours over a little ball. Golf, over a little teeny ball. I always say it's all about balls, considering none of them have the balls to walk spiritually. That's my viewpoint on that. All right, Jesus only taught certain things to Mary Magdalene. She was only one of the few souls that were at his level. Thomas, Judas, they were working at a higher level than most of the disciples were. See, most of the disciples were accepting things what Jesus said. All right? I mean, Thomas was doubtful and never agreed and said, prove it, prove it, prove it, which is cool. You should never accept anything until you can prove it to yourself that it's real or really important. Jesus came and went. Would he come back? Why? Who said he's coming back? I'll be back to save your ass in 10,000 years from now. Why? Why? If you attain a spiritual awareness, if you attain God realization, you can leave at any time. People don't want to give a woman any credit. Jesus had a daughter. I bet if he was a man, it would have been brought out. But it was a female. And they didn't want another God's son, Jesus' son, to be a girl. It's pathetic. Don't forget, love did not exist before Jesus was alive. It did not. So, the idea for a daughter, China, they were killing their daughters, and you can't have 2 girls. You have to kill them or get paid to keep them. All these horrible things. Different countries have all different things about it. I mean, the United States reformed some morals, but they left a lot of ones untouched. The book I'm putting out is about women, and it's for women only. I need an editor to edit it, which I'm having the hardest time in the world to find. But I want to get it out because what's happening right now, even with the abortion pill. Why? They want to eliminate population, but they won't let a woman take a pill to eliminate a child that they don't want? Does that make any sense? Government and secret government are separate entities. So you're not going to get 2 different parties to really bring out the truth. I'm kind of like figuring out which way I want to go. Do I want to go a little further? I know most people can't deal with truth, can't deal with this long or want to hear it that long. But I will say this. I've been doing shows for a long time, and the more I do most of them, the more I realize people do not want to listen. The UFO world, every one of them is afraid of me. Every single one of them. All right. So today's Easter. It's halfway through for most people. Did you think about Jesus at all? Do you believe what he died for? Do you understand why he died? Do you understand anything? Why do you believe he's coming back? Why do you believe anything you believe about him? He was spiritual. The only spiritual person that was a man in all the history that I know that was super high in that level of awareness. Nobody else talked about God. He was the only one. Not Shiva and Durga and them fighting and sex and all the ridiculous stories that you heard all through the way. pertaining to the truth of God. God never stepped into this reality. God doesn't want to. Jesus came here and was allowed by God to follow through with his mission. He didn't have to. Most people don't think of Jesus because he's not, oh, well, they're saying he's an alien. They're saying he's this, that, and the other thing. They're afraid to think of the truth. And I say it over and over. The truth hurts. It's not a pleasurable thing when you hear the truth of anything. I mean, your breath stinks, or you stink, or this or that. Do you want to hear it? No. Rather, somebody says, oh, you're beautiful looking, when you look like a bomb blowing up or something. We only want what we want. And that's beauty, love, passion, and the compliments and all those words that go with it. Not the truth. You're ugly. You're a liar. You're a cheater. You're this, that, and the other. Oh, no, I live by the truth. Really? Did you ever go to somebody and say you have to believe this or anything like that? Invasion of space. My show is open to people that come here. They listen because they want to listen. If they don't, they leave. That's simple. Now, I'm asking everybody to send today, or listens, or even listens later on, send this link to everybody else you know. My site's open. I'll bring somebody on if they want to debate God, debate Jesus. The truth always wins. Period. The alien thing keeps changing. Not that there's any good aliens, because there are none. Period, people. Jesus mentioned all the things that will be bothering us, the things that will come after us, the things that are open when we open ourselves to it. Exorcism's one of the psychic abilities. Do you know that? And I did a few. I did to my best friend, and he was dying. It was, oh, don't touch me, you're going to die. I said, give me a break. Now, I want to put this out there, not that I was going to. If you know Jesus, not if you believe in Jesus, you are protected from aliens. Seriously. They can't touch that level of vibration. They cannot. And that's why I was always protected. So, saying you know Jesus isn't going to help you when you're in a ship or anything. I can tell you a story, but time's kind of limited right now. I'm going to be getting close to ending the show. I know everybody wants to hear more things, but are you listening to what I already said? Do you care what Jesus was, what he came here for? Not to save your sorry ass, period. Oh, he watches over me. To what? You think if you go to school today and don't go to school tomorrow, God cares? Or Jesus cares? Jesus cares if you get into the Esther plane and want to move forward. Not if you want to stay here and take a hard drink and then have sex. Think Jesus cares about that? Think Jesus cares if you smack your child? All these little things? You tell your child he's stupid? All of those things that hurt children from the time they're little. And how many parents do it? Do people want to know who Jesus really was? You just had to look into his eyes. That's why Judas couldn't have betrayed him. Without knowing that he was doing what Jesus told him to do. He knew what he had to do. He was told to. He was the only disciple that would go against everything and do what Jesus told him to do. All the disciples denied Jesus, didn't they? Because they were afraid to die. Judas went against God, if you want to try to phase it out. And he knew what he was doing. And he had to do it. Because if Jesus was not killed, how could he prove in reincarnation? How could he prove of eternal life? He could not. Yeah, I know the new movie out looks incredible, scary, but fun for me. But when I was a high priest, I was dealing with all the high priests in Jersey, all people working for the mob, and all these people saying they were afraid of me too at 16. All right, I was a high priest for about 3 or 4 years, and dealing with every level. I went into a person's house, was a Santeria whatever they call minister, whatever. And what he does, he said he puts spells on people going to court against people in court that are criminals to protect them. I said, what a good life that is. When you put spells on people, they're real. Santeria, voodoo is real. It's a matter of acceptance. A healing's real for a period of time. All these things. Jesus didn't do anything temporarily. Everything Jesus did was permanent. Big difference. When Jesus brought a person back from the dead, do you know the actual story when he brought the person back from the dead? I mean, and then one of his disciples did the same. Do you know the actual story? Do you know what was really going on? What happened? Oh, here I am. I could go back and get in my car and drive away now. No, it's not like that, people. The story is written by a man who twists and molds it to make it fit what he wants it to mean. Jesus talked in parables because he didn't want people to understand half of what he was saying that shouldn't understand it. If you can't go beyond the boundaries of a program, of a mind, you can't understand what Jesus was teaching. Because when he gave a person a thought, when it was a parable, the mind will kick in. Well, it means this. Oh, no, it means this. No, it could mean this. No, it means that. And you're nowhere. So it says, oh, it just means get out and do this or do that. It's simple. The truth is always the most simplest thing. The mind complicates everything. Jesus was teaching on his meditation, exercise, and thoughts that you have to fill yourself with when you go into it. Doubt, fear, created by Satan, will stop you always. We talk about what we're dealing with. We're dealing with sick people. People as a group usually makes it stronger. So if you get like the Council of Nine, they don't agree on everything. They can't. That's why Thoth came in and said, well, look, since you don't know what you're doing, I'm going to take these people down to earth. But she did. And they were too busy playing God to each other. So, when you rise to a level to meet one of the silent ones, if that's what you want, even when you go to the Akashic record, that is your record. You don't have the right to go in anybody else's if you ever get to the Astral plane and go to read the Akashic records. People say, well, I read the Akashic records. They did something evil against the spiritual law. If you allow them to do it, it's a little bit different. All right? People, all I can say, Jesus is real, was real. He wasn't an alien. He was the most spiritual being to ever walk this planet, a human body with a high level soul within it. All right? He was in his soul body when he left his body. Most people are in their astral body when they die. Big difference. I mean, Jesus tried to explain it to him in simple words. He couldn't ascend and all this because he wasn't in his soul body yet and all these things, but they didn't understand much of that. You step out of this body and move into another body. Well, it's the way it's described, but it's changing your awareness from here to there. When you travel in the inner worlds, you're just there. You don't got to get in a spaceship. You don't got to get in a car. You just go from here to there. Kind of like what they're doing with the black hole and things like that, what they're saying about it. But there's videos online. Go to Instagram. They're showing vortexes open and ships going through it and all kinds of stuff now. On Instagram, imagine if one of them is even real. Watch them all and say to yourself, if one is real, imagine what's happening. Well, the Montauk Project, Philadelphia experiment created an open vortex and allowed all these dark things to come into our reality. But Jesus is not coming back. not to this world. If we attain something, if we were spiritual people, he might decide to come back down to this reality. But we're not. Please raise your hand if you think you deserve to get saved. Why? Tell me, put it in the chat room if you're on, but if you hear this, text me. Tell me what you did that's so spiritual that you deserve to be saved. Well, the person was drowning and I jumped in and saved them. Well, a good Samaritan is a perfect saving person to be super spiritual. Giving is one thing, but what did God say to Jesus and what did Jesus say to people? Give yourself to God and you'll have eternal life. Give yourself to me, you'll have eternal life. Jesus was the way, right? He was the way of showing these people how to do it. But when you talk about Jesus and all these other things come up and people say this or that, they don't know him. Religion has no clue what he was teaching. Over and over, saving, sorry, say forgiveness. No. All the people that condemned him didn't say they were sorry. I mean, his disciples were there. They didn't stop it. I mean, when they wanted to fight for him, he said, no, don't. That's a different story as well. But when they actually voted to kill Jesus, who was defending Jesus? Nobody. And they decided to let a murderer go. So where's spirituality and awareness in those people? There is none. Jesus has had hell 10 times over. Imagine being the most spiritual person walking around in hell and watching the darkness everywhere. What can you do? Not much. So on the most sacred day of the year, for people that want the truth, at least think about it. Think about why you're here. What Jesus really came here for. Save you? Because you believe in him, you're going to go to heaven now? While you do your things that you do? Sports players, you think they have any main goal about God? Well, if they win a game, oh, thank you, God. Or they win a sports, whatever, oh, thank you, God. They lose, oh, God, why weren't you helping me? When two boxers go into the ring, I watched them. The last fight that was 2 years ago, they both got $150 million. But watch them both going in, they do the sign, Jesus protect me or save me or make me strong. What? You know, you can ask God for anything you want. Not that you're going to get any of it. Not that you deserve any of it. But you think God has to give you cars and, all those things give you the idea that being here is important. It's not. Native people lost their whole land. Are they important? Many are. But guess what? They have no real teachers. My half-brother was teaching on the reservations, a couple different ones. He was a Christian, full-fledged Christian. And a lot of the tribal people followed him and listened and all that. Jesus is your savior and all that. Savior for what? Jesus is a teacher, not a savior. The wrong words for the wrong person. Jesus was trying to teach people how to get back and get in touch and become closer to God. Not how to get a better job, better fishing, or better this, or better that, or better anything. Here. Well, I'm going to kind of end it now. But, all right, what I will say as I close, my life is of truth. All right? And I put everything I say in the name of God. Period. May everything, me and everything around me die if I'm lying to you. Please take me out if I'm lying about anything right this second. All right? I deserve to be gone if I'm not doing the truth. All right, people. It was a pleasure. I'm glad some people stayed. It was a long, kind of drawn out. But it is an important day. I wanted to put my time in something important. I wanted to go work in the yard, which I can still do. But when we think about why are we here, answer it. Tell yourself why. To do God's work. What's God's work here? Making a nice, delicious cake? Well, it could be in your mind. Nursing a baby? What's the most beautiful spiritual thing you can do? Give birth? You ever look at the actual, what happens and stuff? It doesn't look too pretty, does it? It's not the most pleasurable feeling either, is it? So, when we say what's beautiful, what's right, what's spiritual or not, do you have a clue? I ask people over and over, what's not what Jesus meant, but what does spiritual mean? What did Jesus teach about the word spiritual? Ask for forgiveness? That's not spiritual. So, people, with all that, I'm going to put my email there. Thanks again for coming on. All right, now this is my email. One of them. If you got questions, put it on that site. Anybody listening want to ask questions, please do. All right. This is my life to start, to finish, to end. And I'm getting closer to the end part of it. Tired of my body, tired of people, tired of everything. It's just sad. Just going down like this is sad to watch it. So, people, till next time, Tuesday, hopefully Tina will be on my show. Past 2 weeks, she wasn't able to. Things are happening to her, crazy things, bad things, me too. So, if I'm not on tomorrow, guess what? You're going to have to take your next step all by yourself. And I hope you do. Because that's the only way you're ever going to get closer to the truth. Well, people, enjoy your day, enjoy your night. Whenever you come on this show or hear it, see it, if you're still here, thank you. The people that left, I'm sorry, you couldn't deal with it, but that's your choice. Very few people can stand the truth for 5 minutes, never mind 2 hours, an hour and a half, or anything. So with that, take care. Search, don't stop, don't give up, never give up. And don't believe you're better, don't believe you're more important. Just know that you are a soul and you need to find out what that really means. When you do, you're more important to God at that point, not before. Till next time, people.